pictorial references in terms of how Bordeaux today is understanding its terroir and soil diversity better. All right, so what of course, one of the things that they do is soil mapping, all right, which is being done more and more by most vineyards today. So with this technology and with this knowledge, all right, so winemakers or vineyard owners could specifically mark and understand respective nuances and different traits within their property. All right, so not only parcels, but even the very wine itself. All right, I remember I observed in Pomerol, especially in Vieux Chateau Setan, right? So there were ribbons being tied in different parts of the vineyard, and it's considered not too big a vineyard, perhaps a medium-sized one, but pretty big perhaps in Pomerol, where most of the vineyards are relatively small. So you can see ribbons of different colors being tied on the wine. So I remember passing by and asking, all right, the guide and the person, is this just for aesthetic reasons? Is it because of Vinexpo they are tying ribbons around their wines just to make them look a little bit pretty? But no, all right, so these are ribbons that are being put on, all right, by the winemaker, by the owner, all right, to denote different maturity levels, or within the wines, or which part of the wines are situated on which particular subsoils. As we know, within Pomerol, there's the plateau of Pomerol, right, with different subsoils which are more ideal for Cabernet Franc or Merlot, etc. All right, so this is once again an illustration of how innovation today, all right, is leading to better varietal clone and rootstock selection, and of course, more precise viticulture. Right, so really interesting. And of course, once again, this is an illustration on how specific vineyard mapping, or perhaps in the past they only knew parts of their vineyard in terms of exposure, all right, south, southeast, in terms of very generic broad strokes, but of course through the years they've been, with the technology and with know-how, they've been able to map parcels of the vineyard, not only according to exposition, but according to subsoil type, and of course, more importantly, now even more specific within the vines, within the rows of wine itself, or in terms of the physiology of the respective wines, and this aids them to have better harvesting options. Or in the past, when it was time for harvest, they would just pick the grapes, perhaps depending on varietal. But now they could, with this knowledge, they could pick specific rows of wine even. All right, so that they could so that the grapes that they're harvesting are perfectly ripe, in terms of physiology. All right, and of course that would, of course, entail a better wine at the end. All right, so once again, these are all accessible on their smartphones, or a lot of such apps are really in use, or as shared earlier, developed by all the startups funded by Innovan. Right, so these are all interesting things that are already happening and that are being used. All right, so once again, a reflection of plot-by-plot management and vinification. All right, so they will understand the vigor of certain plots of land because of their exposure, and of course because of their subsoil, their microclimate and terroir would ripen or are more suitable for certain varietals than the other. All right, and this will also aid in the vineyard management, all right, in a planting practice, all right, and where to plant what varietals within the vineyard, so you can get the best results, so to speak. All right, so once again, this is the Vitirover and the Vitidrone, all right, two key technical collaborations using technology that has been widely practiced today in the vineyards of Bordeaux. All right, and of course, green harvesting, canopy management, optimizing and measuring maturity, or adapting to climate change. All right, so these are all ongoing practices that are happening in Bordeaux and then, and of course, with the additional information that is being available by technology and guidance to them, this aids in better achievement levels and better results in all these aspects. All right, so just a highlight once again, all right, on respect on environment, one of the points that are changing. All right, so more than half of Bordeaux vineyards are committed to such practices since last year, all right, in terms of organic viticulture, all right, no synthetic use of non-synthetic materials, all right, of course, biodynamic viticulture, integrated and reasoned viticulture. So these are the respective bodies, governing bodies of each environmental friendly viticulture practice. Of course, organic, we have the AB, biodynamic, we have Demeter, all right, and of course these are the various different bodies within reasoned viticulture. Right, no exclusion of protection of tools and possibility using chemical inputs. So this is from organic, biodynamic, integrated, and of course reasoned. That means half and a half perhaps, right? So this the 4 subcategories of environmental practices, all right, that vineyards in Bordeaux are subscribing to today. And of course, one of the things that we can see when we are talking about the health of wines is, of course, when we talk about health, the things that always we talk about is sulfite levels. All right, sulfites, we all know, not only exist in wine, it exists in your pizza, in your jam, in dried fruits, in your food, perhaps. All right, but of course, when we talk about wines, especially if we are very thirsty and we have a glass or two too much, and we wake up with a hangover, or of course, those with asthmatic conditions might have allergies to sulfites. So one of the things that has changed or that is being influenced, all right, in terms of innovation, is the use of sulfites, right? So by understanding all this, I mean, the ripeness of the grapes, less sulfites can be employed and used, all right? Generally, red wine doesn't require sulfites. Sulfites are already present in very minimal quantities, all right? But of course, addition of sulfites for red wines is not really necessary, especially those who are fans of natural wines or orange wines, or biodynamic wines, all right? Because there's a percentage of sulfites that are being what we call bound by the wine, which is what we call polymerized with the wine, which is fine. Then of course excessive are what we call free sulfites. So free sulfites are the sulfites that are giving us the headaches, the allergies, so to speak. All right, and generally red wines have do not need additional sulfites, or if they do, only in very minimal quantities, because red grapes already have antioxidants and tannins. All right, usually wines that are high in sulfites are whites. Whites have twice as much as sulfites in reds, especially for commercial wines, and of course sweet wines, dessert wines have 4 times the amount of sulfites, or even 10 times the amount of sulfites, in contrast to white wines or even red wines, right? Because whites and sweet wines, they do not have the antioxidants, all right, from the skins, right? Hence, they need a higher percentage of sulfites, all right, to keep them fresh, or to keep them from bacterial or microbial spoilage, so to speak. All right, so from SME Duan, the Bordeaux, once again, we are talking about diseases and sulfites, so meteorological results, observation network, parasite models, right? So these are all innovations that are happening in Bordeaux, I mean, through the collection of information through the Viti drones and Viti rower, all right, so they are able to collect all this information and share, all right, with the respective wine growing community within Bordeaux. And of course, natural practices are still being employed, all right, like sexual confusion, all right, having different species of insects, all right, that feeds upon the other as a means of pest control, all right, and of course disease control, which are via natural means. All right, so from there we move, of course, to